Hello everyone, my name is Elise. Welcome to my attic. Today I'm going to do a short video just to share with you some of my favorite products from the dollar store, Dollar Tree in particular. They have a great selection and a lot of wonderful items that are great to have on hand at all times in your workshop or studio. So let's get started. One of the things that I always keep handy is their foam core. If you saw my video from yesterday, I use it to mount textiles like this one, but I use it for sometimes just on my worktop as a base, and I can also use it for spray painting small items because you can actually pin things into it. So it has a lot of uses. It always comes in handy. So I always keep a couple of sheets of that on hand. Okay, the next thing that I like to keep on hand are their popsicle sticks. I use these, of course, for stirring paint and other things, but I've also used them for keeping samples of paint, especially when I've mixed up a color that I really like. I'll dip it into the paint or paint it on, and then I'll write on it what I've done to create that. And I'm keeping those handy so that I can recreate those colors if I want to. But these are always handy. Great to have on hand. Okay. Another thing they have are these paper cups, and of course these are wonderful for mixing small amounts of paint. This one is about half the size of this one, so if you just need a little dab of something, it's a great way to mix it up, and then you can just toss it when you're done. Okay. Another thing, they have a good selection of sanding sponges, and to be honest, I really like their sanding sponges. I was a little worried about buying them. I had bought some of their sandpaper in the past, and the surface, or the sand, I guess you could say, just starts to flake off, especially if you wet sand with it. It just gets everywhere. So I was a little nervous, but I went ahead and bought some, and I'm glad I did because I love these. If you have ever priced sanding sponges in the regular stores, one block like this is going to be $4 or $5. They really add up. If you're doing a large piece of furniture, you'll go through a couple of these, and that really adds to your price when you're trying to flip it and make a profit on it. So these are just wonderful to have on hand, and they come in a couple of different grits. I think one side is a lighter grit, and the other side is a really rough grit. So these are terrific. I always keep a good selection of those around. The other thing they have is tape, and you can never have too much of this, but I actually really like to buy their small rolls, because if you don't use it very often, it can get dried out, and then when you need to use it, it doesn't stick very well. So I like to have their painter's tape on hand and their masking tape. Now, if I'm going to do a big project and I need a lot of it, I'll just go ahead and buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot. But for small projects, this is terrific. And then, of course, the masking tape is the same thing. In fact, I just used this. If you watched my video on mounting the textiles, the frame that needed to be glued back together, I added some wood glue to it, but I didn't have a corner clamp. I don't have one of those. So I just wrapped it in some tape going both directions to help hold it tight while that glue dried. So you can never have enough tape in your studio. Okay, and their petroleum jelly I always keep on hand. I haven't done any videos of painting furniture yet, but I will get into that. And one of the techniques to create a chippy finish is to use petroleum jelly or Vaseline on the surface before you paint it, and then that will act like a release and allow the next coat that you put on it to just chip right off. So this is always good to have on hand, and of course buying it just $1 is perfect. So I always keep that in my studio. The next thing I always keep, or always buy, are these little makeup bottles. Okay, this one's empty. I haven't used it yet, but these are great for things like mineral spirits or acetone for fingernail polish remover, because those are good for removing tags and markings on things that I buy from thrift stores and other stuff. So, for example, I keep mineral spirits in one of these. I just get a little bit on my rag at one time, and then I use it to get the sticky residue off from stickers and things like that. It beats, you know, having to bring a big old can out, pour it in something, and then you got to, you know, the smell and everything. It just nice and tidy in the bottle. I'll label it with a Sharpie and keep that on hand. So those are always handy. I also always buy their inexpensive index cards. I use these for, one of the main things I use it for is to keep track of my inventory for eBay and stuff. Now, I do use it for a lot of other things. I was just talking about using, mixing paint on the sticks. Well, if I find a color that I really like that won't fit on a stick, I'll write it down on this. Also, if I do a lot of experimenting in my workshop, and if I do something that I want to be able to repeat, I'll write it down on a card so I don't forget it the next time I want to do that same effect. So I keep these on hand at all times. These are also really handy if you need to mix up just a teeny bit of paint and you know you don't want to get your surface messed up or something that you have to clean. You know, this makes a great surface for doing something like that. Okay, and of course their X-Acto blade really doesn't need an explanation. You can never have too many X-Acto blades in your workshop. $1, and I think it comes with a couple of extra blades. Yes, it's a cheapie, but it's good enough to cut your foam core or just about anything else that I use in my workshop. And then lastly is something that I'm actually going to go into a little bit more detail on a video, but it's their spackling compound. I love this stuff. It's kind of fluffy, and it mixes really well with paint to create a very smooth chalk paint finish. So it's my favorite additive for chalk paint. One of the reasons I like this in these small jars is because if it doesn't seal properly, you're not going to lose a lot of it when it dries out. I had this exact same brand, or well, actually it wasn't. It was a similar brand from Lowe's that didn't get sealed properly, and I had to throw away almost the entire thing. So I actually prefer to buy these. I'll buy 4 or 5 at a time, keep it on hand. When I need it, if it's dried out, I just open up a new one, and I haven't wasted a huge container of it. So stay tuned. Probably next week I'll do a video about making your own chalk paint, and this is the product that I prefer to use. It's my favorite. So that's it for today. Just a short little video. Hope you found it interesting. If you did, please consider a like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned. I'll have more videos coming quickly. Bye-bye.